Hello there and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We're back to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans, and we are reviewing the 18th of April episode and previewing the 25th of April Impact. Now, this was the go-home show for Rebellion. Rebellion is 2 nights away, and we will be having a last look later on here. Actually, it'll probably be live pretty much as soon as this video is going live as well, but still, maybe it'll be just a little bit later, but whatever. It will be up on the channel very soon, at least to go through the card in full. I know that there was one more match added to the card just after this show, I believe. But I don't think I want to do 2 separate videos just to say, hey, this match got added to the card and then go through the whole card. Might as well just do it all together at the same time, because we're just going to it's always good to have more content on the channel, but there's certain times that it doesn't really make much sense. Anyway, we're getting to the show, and there's a current promotion on. You save 25% on the TNA Plus year-long subscription using code TNA25. So I actually might even do this. I actually am, or I think I was already signed up for it, but I think my thing's lapsed because I changed bank cards and whatnot and all of this stuff because my other bank card blew up, blah, 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 all this stuff. Well, not blew up, but expired, and a whole bunch of stuff happened, but whatever. So I might get back in there. There's some good stuff on the TNA Plus app. It's a lot easier, honestly, on the TNA Plus app to kind of navigate and see and find what you want. And just do things a little bit in that regard. The promo hyping up a lot of the bigger matches coming at Rebellion, specifically focusing in on the Steph DeLander and Josh Alexander matches, I think, with Jordan and that. So, yeah. But this was the end part of it, I guess, with Hammerstone and that, because Hammerstone took on Guido in the opening match. This was probably a bad opening match, honestly. It wasn't a bad match, but I just think it was a bad opening match. There's ways to have a really good opening match with Hammerstone and Guido. I don't think they really did that really well here with what they were doing with him. Hammerstone should have looked a lot better in this match to make this a really good opening match, just in my opinion. Though Hammerstone got the win, obviously, because it's Hammerstone and he's facing someone, that's barely on the roster, very well-accomplished wrestler in his own rights and whatever. But this guy's, a guy that's going to be here for the next 5 years, or at least in the industry for the next 5 to 10 years or more. And Guido's just, basically become a manager nowadays. So, and he can have his moments and whatnot, and that's cool. Good on him. But, this wasn't one of them for him. Basically barely a squash match, and I think that they executed this squash match pretty badly, honestly. It wasn't a great match. It was okay for what it was, I guess, and it showed off. It didn't even show off Hammerstone as good as what I think it should have done. I think he should have he was wrecking Guido a fair bit, but he should have just really absolutely wrecked him a piece of meat. He just sort of completely destroyed this man. I don't know, yeah, I don't know, it just needed to be more, I think, and just really give and even so, his opponent probably was a bad choice. You probably should have chosen somebody else that made Hammerstone look more like a beast. Really? Yeah, I don't know. He really needed to look like a beast at this point. like he could destroy anyone and everyone in his path. And that's what I felt like. That was what this match was meant to accomplish. Didn't really accomplish it. It was okay. That's about it. But and I think it was kind of awkward being the opening match. But I think this whole card was kind of a little bit awkward with I think the Nick Nemeth Moose promo. I don't know whether that should have closed the show. I don't know, but we'll keep discussing it as we go through. But yeah, Guido brought out his new FBI, the revived FBI, whatever you want to call them, the new age, whatever you want to call them. I kind of want to see more of these young guys around in TNA because they need more tag teams. So I'd like to see these guys doing more. But yeah, Josh Alexander came down to call on commentary the match that Hammerstone had, try and get in his head a bit. At the end of the match, though, Hammerstone did dominate Guido with the torture rack, not letting it go for a couple of moments after the bell rang. So that was kind of getting that little bit more heat there. And Josh Alexander and Hammerstone had a bit of a sort of stare down. Ash by Elegance had a promo backstage about not getting her Knockouts title match, despite complaining that she should have got it, even though she was replaced in the match and all this other stuff. But that led out Xia Brookside, who said, hey, well, you couldn't even really beat me without cheating, so you don't even really deserve a match. But to end this and to sort of put a cap on it, we're going to have a match, you and I, next week. Which will be after the after Rebellion and after those tapings the night after. Apparently, due to injury, Matt Cardona will be unable to accompany Steph DeLander to Rebellion. And Jordan Grace had a bit of a promo about that, saying, hey, well, I know that she's got some tricks up her sleeve and tricks up her in her bag and whatever else, because she knows she can't beat me 1v1 because I've already beaten her 1v1, and that was with basically nothing on the line, and now the TNA World Knockouts Championship is on the line. So what do you think's going to happen when that's actually on the line for me? That whole thing, it's interesting to kind of see a different approach. You can't take the same approach every single person and every single challenger and whatnot. You need to go, okay, well, what sets this person, apart? What is their story, backstory, forward story, blah, blah, blah. And that plays out again into the match and into the payoff of the match, blah, blah, blah. So again, you're looking at these gals having this match. And obviously, again, the whole idea is that Steph DeLander's got to pull something out of her back pocket, per se, to beat Jordan. And this supposed injury to Matt Cardona, I don't even buy that. I don't know whether that is true or whether that is not true. But he's meant to have a match the day after Rebellion anyway. I don't know whether he's going to be pulled from that or whether, I don't know if this injury is legit or not. But you start thinking, well, that doesn't sound legit. That sounds like, shenanigans, as we sort of say. It sounds like that's some tactics they've come up with. Maybe, I don't know. So that could play into it, but we'll have to wait and see more as we keep going along. Joe Hendry came out for a match with some local jobber. So he won that match, obviously. He had a very, very long standing ovation at the end. He had quite a good promo at the beginning of his match. It was a very short match. This one wasn't that amazing either. So that's a little bit tough, isn't it? I guess the main event really sort of made up for it. mostly. I don't think there was many other matches even on this card, but whatever. Yeah, it sent home that promo, and it sent home that, good, like good promo and good, like, reaction from the crowd that he got. So that was well worth it in that regard. The Motor City, we had a promo about the Motor City Machine Guns wanting to reclaim the titles from Myers and Edwards to face Speedball Mountain at Rebellion. Then we had a match between Mustafa Ali and the grizzled young vets, Cody Deaner and Jake Something, who were going to call a audible, effectively, for the crowd to say, hey, do you want us to do a 2-on-3, or do you want us to call out a third man? A man that has a lot of history in this building, the Man Beast Rhino. And, of course, the fans went, the Man Beast Rhino! Or Rhino. And on commentary, the Drama King was saying, they're saying no. I thought that was great, because his name is Rhino, having no at the end, so all he's hearing is no, or whatever. I don't know, type thing. That was kind of funny there, just a little bit. But Rhino got a great reception coming out here, and I felt like he was going to be the one to take the pin, but he didn't, so I was surprised in that regard. The whole match kind of centered around Jake Something trying to get his hands on Mustafa Ali. He got his hands on him maybe a couple of times throughout this match, winding towards the end after quite a bit of match. Now, this one was pretty good. It wasn't the greatest match ever, I could say, but it really was quite all right. It wasn't that great, but still was quite good, I think. So, and that's the thing, you can't take away too much, again, perhaps from the main event, because the main event was real good. So it's one of those things that you've got to kind of save a lot of stuff for that main event. So that's where people are gonna go home happy. So it's one of those things. Sometimes you've got to kind of do those sorts of things. I was surprised that Cody Deaner took the pin, but whatever, sure. That's, I don't care. It's fine. All their action in this match, I feel like GYV really should get back in that tag team scene after this, because now that Ace and Bay are out, or kind of out, it's well, they've got some space to get in there again. I guess the problem being that the champions are heels, so they really need a long-form program with more babyface teams or whatever to really, kind of tide them over until their reign is over, and their reign won't be over for a long time. So that's going to be a tough situation for them if they continue to do that. But then again, it's really tough because, again, you need a lot of really great teams. And it's funny that First Class, Rich Swann and Top Dollar beat the ABC, the former champions. But again, by hook or by crook, effectively there. But yeah, this was quite an effort to get Jake Something down throughout the match. They're trying to sell this whole thing of Jake being, fairly unstoppable. Even 3 people or 4 people or even half a dozen people can't put him down too easily. So how can Mustafa Ali put him down? Hopefully Mustafa Ali will find a way. And that's kind of how the match ended. Mustafa Ali narrowly got the pin and escaped once again. Steve Macklin vowed to make his presence felt at Rebellion. Okay, Steve, that's a very stacked card that you're trying to get on. And they have even announced something at the press conference. Oh, sort of announced something at the press conference. So that card's going to be even bigger. And they also announced another match, as I said, which makes this match even more stacked. So yeah. Eric Young went backstage and was looking for, something deep inside himself to help him in the match against Frankie Kazarian. He found himself as the sickness. That whole story that he had, for the last, couple of years, that, it referred back to, that part of himself. And this was an very interesting sort of promo, and he's sort of like, I thought I'd leave you behind. I didn't want to be that person anymore, and this sort of thing. And this was great. This was really interesting. He's like, I need you because, I need that edge. How can I beat Kazarian? Full Metal Mayhem. I need the sickness again to, defeat him. So yeah, no, I don't know. Just again, getting that hype for their match, without them touching and brawling and just being I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to you. Because a lot of people are kind of sort of doing that already. So it's well, you need to do something a bit different. You can't do that same thing. You've got to tell a story. What's the story? The story is maybe Eric kind of lost his edge a little bit, but, he's still got that somewhere in him and he's trying to conjure it up and all this. So, yeah, I think that this is very cool. Very, very cool, and I can't kind of wait to see, I already couldn't wait to kind of see what was going on, but the promo work and, the work that the video work that they put into this and whatnot just makes you go, oh, shit, he's pulling back that, he's trying to go back to that, sick and twisted sort of side of himself to, really get into that mindset of this is, a battle to the doom or whatever between us, So I can't wait to see that. Rosemary and Jody Threat, this, besides the main event, this was the match of the night, just in my opinion, honestly. I almost feel like this should have just been the opening match. This was a pretty good fire match between these two, and I think that this could have opened the show. Not to say that it's not a highly important match, but it's such a highly important match that it should have opened the show and should have kicked off the show in a barn burner of a way, which it was pretty darn good of a match. Now this one was kind of tough thinking. Again, you'd think to say yourself that the Rosemary and Havoc, they're kind of heels-ish, kind of. And, well, Spitfire are clearly baby faces. So it's just one of those things where you kind of think that there's some dynamic there. You want some sympathy for the baby faces. Plus, again, it's just one of those things that if you're the challenger going into a title match, it's super tough for the audience to believe, oh yeah, these guys win it. So having Rosemary win seemed like a good step, and that's what they did here. A little bit of shenanigans kind of at the end where there was some distractions and whatnot, with Havoc on the outside, etc., and Rosemary being able to get into the right position to hit the spear at the end. But yeah, this was a pretty darn good match. I enjoyed Rosemary rising several times after getting knocked down, and it's what does Jody have to do, to friggin' put down Rosemary? But she couldn't. But it did seem like that she could, but she just couldn't in this one. Jonathan Gresham had another promo, or video package. Part 3, acceptance. So that almost sounds like the end of this, but it might not be. This was super interesting. Very interesting. And to me, like, again, this makes me feel like, we're going to see Gresham, like, either at Rebellion or at the night after Rebellion. You can't do this sort of thing, in my opinion, without doing something very soon afterwards. You want to strike while the iron is hot, per se. It's one of those things where fan interest is now probably starting to peak with this whole thing. So you've got to pay it off fairly quickly. You don't want people to be lingering or lagging behind or thinking, oh man, is he ever actually coming? Like the whole Veer Muhammad thing and a few other people like that, you know, I know TNA hasn't done that too much, but still, like, that's been a thing in wrestling where it's been like, oh yeah, this person's coming. And I know TNA kind of did some of that stuff like here and there, but they actually delivered them and didn't deliver them like 6 months or a year later or whatever it was. It was like maybe a few weeks later or whatever it was, usually, most of the time. Again, this is reintroducing this guy back into TNA wrestling and into new storylines and new angles and whatever else he's going to do for the next whatever number of years he's going to be here. Like, we already know that he's signed a contract or re-signed a contract. I don't know whether he was actually signed to a contract before. I think he might have been on a handshake deal. Who knows? I don't really know. But still, like, you know, like, you don't want to just like, well, we've re-signed you or signed you or whatever, and we've done all this video package stuff, but now we're going to sit you on the shelf for a few weeks or whatever and do nothing. You want to progress it, and you want people to be like, oh man, here he is, bam. So yeah, I will blatantly anticipate this as well. But again, it feels like Rebellion is absolutely stacked. So it's like, how are they even going to have time for for anything? But that's TNA for you, like packing everything in, which is good. Now, despite us probably knowing the outcome of this match in the Motor City Machine Guns versus the System, dang, bro, this was a good match. I didn't love the fact that it got cut away from during the ad breaks a couple of times. And I didn't love the fact that it didn't have picture-in-picture. Like, dudes, why? Like, you had picture-in-picture for a couple of other things. Like, why didn't you have picture-in-picture for this? Like, should have had picture-in-picture for this. Because this was epic and this was great. Like, even though it got cut in between, like, a couple of different ad breaks, this was a very long match. You know, and took up most of the later half of the broadcast. So this is a good 20 to 30 minute match. You know, like, this was great stuff here that these guys did between those ropes. So despite you knowing the result or whatever, that doesn't really dampen the match, like, ever. Like, I don't think it does. Like, I know some people are just doomers and whatever. Oh, I know the result, so I won't watch it. But it's going to be really good wrestling. Oh, I know the result, though, so I won't watch it. Like, that, the result of old matches back in the day, but you watch those. Oh, that's because they were really good. But this was a really... I don't know. I don't understand some people who, sit on that crock of stuff that they, since it's a match that's happening now or this week or whatever. Oh, I know the result, so I won't tune in. But you'll miss out on seeing the great wrestling. Oh, I can tune in at any time and see it. True, but I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, like the fact that I think one of the bigger spots or whatever that came through this match was that Saban kicked out of the system's first combination tag team finisher maneuver, which is Eddie Edwards backpack stunner into Brian Myers elbow drop. They came up with a second finisher tag team kind of combo, which was kind of good there, but it sort of it sort of involved shenanigans, but it is what it is. This whole match involved some shenanigans with Alicia Edwards, but still, I always hear these people who, again, will complain about interference in matches, and the same thing with the whole Moose matches and whatnot, not having definitive wins because he won because the system, whatever, effectively interference or distractions or whatever else, that sort of thing, etc. So that's a bit crap, honestly, in my opinion. And I think people only ever seem to complain about this stuff when it's in TNA or whatever. Oh, that's classic TNA to overbook things, or to do this stuff where the champion, the heel, had to have all this help to win, blah 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 blah, etc etc. They overbooked it. They did this. They did that wrong. Blah 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 blah. No, they didn't. They got heat on the babyface. That was what this whole thing is for. They got heat on the on the heels, and they got sympathy for the baby faces. That was the whole idea of this, and that is what they have done. This was a story. This was cinema. People loved everything that Roman Reigns was doing for the last 4 or 5 years or whatever it was that he's been doing, and cheating to win, and the bloodline and everything else. That's great, apparently, when WWE does it, but when TNA does it, it's TNA bullshit. They shouldn't do this. They shouldn't let the heels cheat. But that's what heels do. They cheat to win. That's how they get over as heels, and how they get the baby faces over, so that you'll actually, have somebody to cheer because they're the good guys, in parentheses. That's how you have your heroes, because you've got these guys that you can, jeer and hate. You shouldn't hate on the promotion because they ran a good angle. That's just a good angle, because that's how heel heat works, how heel heat makes, wrestling between those ropes work. And I think it's always this way of, not everyone, but again, a lot of people who say, oh, they didn't do the right thing. They should have put this Yes, of course you want to see that person get over, because they're your favorite. They're the baby face. That's how they've got you. And they've made you invest by having the heel cheat. For God's sakes. It's basic 101 stuff. You've fallen right into the trap marks, you see? Except for the fact that you don't understand, because you think, oh, it's TNA and they've shot themselves in the foot because they're TNA and I hear that they're shit. And all of this crap. So, yeah, but whatever. Still, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, highlight here of the system, getting the win with I think I pinned Shelley there in the ring, I believe. But yeah, we will talk about Rebellion in the upcoming video, and I'll talk more about the post-Rebellion stuff as well. And another video, we've got another promo for the TNA Plus app. Then we heard from Nick Nemeth. Now, this is where I kind of think, this should have maybe been before the match, but I don't know. It kind of sent the crowd home on that big moment of these two clashing, so, or kind of coming to a clash. So I guess get why that this was like the end. So yeah. But this was a pretty good promo, back and forth. And like, I don't know, like, I've said how I think this should go, and I will again, probably in the upcoming Rebellion review, preview, whatever. I like Nick thus far in his run in TNA, but in all honesty, it's just, like, again, to me, like, this is, like, everything that they're doing is great promo work and story work at this point. This isn't the culmination of the story that Nick is trying to tell, in my opinion, and it shouldn't be. If this is the culmination of the story that he's telling, then it's a freaking shit story, you know, like, it's a really shit story. There isn't a story without adversity. Like, that's the thing. People need to, again, understand this. This is going back to my point from before. Where is the adversity if he just wins? Like, there isn't any. And again, yes, you could tell a good story with Nick winning the title and all of this, but you could tell that story at any time between now and whenever he retires, effectively, or whatever, you know, like, you could tell that story at any point. The thing for Nick Nemeth, if he is going to win this title, he has to go through 6 months, a year or so of adversity to get to that title. That is my opinion. That is the story that he should be trying to tell, because that doesn't just tell a good story for him, i.e. winning the title and being like, I am the man. Okay, cool, you're the man. Now what? Like, you know, there's nothing really to go on from there. Yes, there is a little bit, but again, that's kind of where the story is almost bookending. Like, that's the culmination of the story. If you have Moose win this part of the story, this chapter in the book, per se, then you have a much better chapter after it, because again, you're not just giving Moose a win and giving him something else to work with. You're giving something for Nick to work with and this obstacle to overcome. The system. He's got 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever else it is, of more adversity throughout the company, or whatever else it is, and then he comes back, you know, at next year or whatever it is, and then wins it. You know, that's where I feel like, or whatever it is, a year and a bit, whatever it is, that's where he wins it. That's where he goes, cool, now I'm the champion, I've staked my claim, and I'm going to represent. It gives a good story to Moose, it gives and legitimacy to Moose and his title reign. It helps him, you know, stay over. It helps Nemeth build a story to get back to that, you know, redemption, to get, you know, his title match down the road. And, you know, that just feels like, to me, again, better storytelling. But what would I know about storytelling? I watch TNA, apparently, and they don't know how to tell a story, apparently, according to some. But yeah, like, as I said before, some people, when they watch like things like this, and again, it's very comparable to the Bloodline angle. I get that. Some people will say that. But, you know, heel factions have always been, pretty much always been a thing in wrestling since the mid-'80s. So, again, like, anyone who says, oh, they're just doing this to rip off the Bloodline or whatever else, blah, blah, blah. No, they don't. No, they're not. They're doing this because that is a good story and it sells tickets, you know? And, you know, again, they're trying to build up these baby faces by giving them a big bad heel to have to overcome and have to overcome the whole system. But yeah. Anyway. Back up here. Yeah, all this is the rebellion stuff. Yeah, all this is the rebellion stuff. Okay. I think it's on another post here somewhere. Here we go.